No, it's fine. I'm wearing a Depends. We're good. Let's...
Hello, and welcome to Let Me Look That Up, the show where we use the internet to try to answer life's trivial questions. I'm Tristan, and I'll be your host for today's episode.
I'm Justin, and I'm fueled with facts.
And I'm Adam, and I'm going to say some things today that are mostly incorrect. So I'm basically just as good as the internet.
We've all been there before. You're hanging out with a couple of friends, and suddenly that random question pops up. Like, are my friends who meet up in that old abandoned house wearing bathrobes part of a secret society? Or is that just what the cool kids are doing now?
That's when someone pulls out their phone to see if they can find an answer.
That's what this show is all about. Just a couple of friends trying to find answers to life's mysteries.
Finally, a friendly reminder. The three of us are at best hobbyists who are mostly relying on random stuff we found on the internet. Like recently, I found out that Han Solo and Mr. Spock are cousins. All right, Justin, you know how you're always talking about F1?
Can't stop, won't stop.
Well, I've been wondering, what's the difference between Formula One and IndyCar?
Good question. I know the answer to that, but before I tell you, what do you guys think?
Isn't an IndyCar like, like a really seen car? The car's kind of like not into the same thing that everyone else is in.
Yeah.
Like a scene. He's an IndyCar. Like he's gonna listen to folk music and get lost in the American Southwest while wearing denim.
Probably like low budget, has a small crew.
As opposed to Formula One.
I started to make an indie film joke and then realized that I was just describing IndyCar.
Right.
It's its own thing.
So Adam, just for the record, it's spelled I-N-D-Y.
Oh, right. Like
C-A-R.
Indianapolis.
Yes.
Like Indiana
No.
Jones.
I got you, that one. Aha, the wild card has become the expert.
Oh, you think you know more about race cars than I do?
No, but definitely Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's true.
At least the spelling of it.
I've never been to Indianapolis. Indianapolis.
Harder word to get you to pronounce. IndyCar, Indianapolis.
All right. So, Justin, before you just blow us away with all of your information that you know, what makes you an expert on this topic?
Yeah, what gives you the right?
Well, kind of interestingly, I am a race car driver, or at least I was at one point. I went to racing school a few years back. And I'm, just a big motorsports fan. So anytime a car zooms by, it catches my eye and I just follow it incessantly.
I really want to make fun of any of that, but I don't have anything to make fun of that. That is cool. I think most people would think that's cool and would feel jealous about it and would really want to make you feel like a small person for having something so cool in order to justify my own existence. I got nothing. That's cool.
We're in our 30s now. We're beyond the age of making fun of people's passions.
No, I still do that. But, it's not, it doesn't go anywhere. Just think it while I'm sitting on the couch.
So Tristan was actually kind of really on point with one of the major differences between IndyCar and Formula One is that it does have a smaller budget than Formula One.
Oh, so where does the denim fall in?
Well,
is there a lot of denim? No denim? Like 0 to 100? How close was I with denim? I'm just going to really...
You want to really push this denim, huh?
I get paid every time I say denim. So.
Sponsored by Big Denim.
Yes.
Well, you would be really wrong, though, because I think Wrangler sponsors NASCAR.
So they don't have a car that's just covered in denim.
No.
Okay.
Denim lightning.
But again, you are onto something with the denim because Formula One, I mean, we kind of know for sure is totally not American. I'm not saying it's un-American, but it's very European. There's, Italians and English and French. I mean, the broadcast crew is all English.
All right, so back of the envelope. If you had to summarize Formula One, if somebody walked, like walked into a poll, couldn't remember anything, and said, "What is Formula One?" in like the briefest way possible.
Oh, I don't know if I can do brief.
Okay, in the most succinct way possible.
Oh, I don't know if I can do succinct either. Uh-oh.
All right, in the most kitchen sink way possible.
Okay, Formula One, for the uninitiated, is an international open-wheel racing series where 10 teams with 2 drivers with, of course, 2 cars each. Or 1 car per
So each driver has 2 cars, right?
No,
So
each driver has 1 car.
They control both cars with one steering wheel.
Kind of like a guy riding on 2 horses in like an old
and
western.
I'm sorry.
2 steering wheels, straddling 2 cars.
It's an international open-wheel racing series with 10 teams with 2 drivers that race across the globe. So they do pretty much like 1 race per 20-something countries.
Wow. Okay.
IndyCar, on the other hand, is mostly just in the North American area. And like I said, their budget's much smaller than Formula One. Formula One, I think a couple of years ago, Mercedes F1 team was, I want to say like $400 million to race, and it's just like, oh, that's a lot.
Man, I could do it for a quarter of that.
Well, fun fact, they're going to in this coming season. They've put a cost cap as a rule so that teams can only spend $140 million.
Oh, only. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, only 140 mil. Yes. Yes. Let me go to my bathtub. Let me look in my spare change couch. Yes.
Why? Why would they do that?
Well, to kind of even up the playing field, because at that point, Mercedes, the kind of leading F1 team at the time, was totally dominating. No one could catch up to them, and it's because they were spending the most money out of all of them.
Okay. So they were putting money into their cars to make their cars
go faster.
Better.
Right, so they were mixing it in with the fuel.
All right. Yeah, just dumping the money straight into the fuel tank.
Cars know good fuel, and good fuel has money mixed into it.
Right. No, really what they use the money for is developing the car itself.
Right.
So building out the very intricate suspension systems, the aerodynamics of the car, the front wings and stuff, everything that they can change about the car within the rules that they're given.
Oh, gotcha. So that dump truck of money, that gas station fire of money that they had was literally just so they could have lots of engineers, lots of little specific things going, okay, we're going to a place with less humidity. Let's change the wingtips to this degree. We'll run it in the simulator. So it was literally just they were probably just taking a extreme lab approach to every single.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that makes it less fun for me to watch.
Yeah. Aw. Well, on the other hand, too, IndyCar is what's called a spec series, which means all the cars are exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
So I think what happens is Dallara is a race car manufacturer. They make this chassis that IndyCar uses. Each team buys, a chassis and then an engine. Past few seasons, it's a Chevy or a Honda V6.
Wow. Okay.
And again, because IndyCar is, an indie band, apparently.
Denim, yes.
Uh-huh.
There's not a lot of money that they can put into development because, the car's already kind of made.
Right. They're handed everything and said, you can't change these things. But what you can change is, how much the driver weighs? The paint job?
Not much, actually. There's a couple of different aerodynamic packages they could change out, but for the most part, same car.
Wow. Okay, so the IndyCar is trying to eliminate all of these variables and going, same car, relatively same driver, same specs. That way it all comes down to the driving and the team that organizes it and quick pit stops. And is there pit stops in Indy?
Yes.
I'm assuming most races have pit stops. If I had a race, it would be if you break down, you're done.
Right.
That's how I would do it. Oh, this guy needs a new tire. You're out of the race. What? No appeals. Done. Okay, so they're really just trying to make it all about the skill of the driver and the skill of the team.
Pretty much, but some might argue that F1 is also a pretty big test of skill.
Oh, right. Well, I mean,
Yeah, it sounds like F1 is a test of skill of the driver and the team, but also there is an element of who can build the best car.
Right, yeah.
So it's the what is it? The Pinewood Derby? Like the Pine, isn't that what it's called? So it's the Pinewood Derby for adults with millions of dollars.
Yeah, a boxcar derby.
Yeah.
Boxcar Derby, thank you.
Yeah.
I was thinking Pine Box. Pine, I don't know where I got that. So, it
so
is the little boxcar derbies for adults. So it's people with millions of dollars going, I'm going to hide weights in this part of the car. Oh, what if I do this? I'm going to paint mine red. That's faster. Mine is metallic paint.
Yeah. Formula One is like a boxcar derby if all the dads got super aggressive and competitive with each other and just put in as much money as possible into making like the fastest boxcar possible. Whereas IndyCar is their, I don't know, troop leader or teacher or whatever was like, look, everyone's getting this one boxcar. No one else is getting anything different.
Gotcha. So one is budget boxcar and the other one is the dad doing your project for you.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha. Dad, we're not supposed to have parent help. You want to win, don't you? That's the Formula One in one specific go.
So, Justin, to me, it seems that F1, IndyCar, and motorsports in general over the last couple of years have become a lot more popular and a lot more, I guess, mainstream. Do you know why that is?
Well, there's... Specifically for Formula One, there's the one prevailing theory is that they got a Netflix show a couple years back.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're ever on Netflix, check out Drive to Survive. It's an awesome show.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. No, we don't. We're not sponsored by Netflix.
Yeah.
But
it's a thing.
It's a pretty cool show. It kind of takes a sort of reality TV approach to a full season, and you kind of get insight into, what goes through the minds of the drivers and the team principals and stuff like that. The other thing, too, that happened a couple years ago when Formula One got their own Netflix series is their old boss, Bernie Eccleston, he had this weird rule that no one was allowed to use social media in Formula One at all.
What?
No one.
Yeah.
Give me your phones. Every
race, he just had a bag that was like, put your phone in the bag.
Everybody phones in the bag.
Yeah. So, just some weird rule that, like, no one can use social media at all.
That ruins the ability for it to get shared. Like, how do you...
Right.
I feel
exactly.
like that's going along with the person as they're tweeting, about to get in the car, big race today. Like, like that's actually what people... Like, that's what I enjoy is that stupidity or that silliness or that just human nature. I get to see it. Oh my gosh, this guy's eating a sandwich in a jumpsuit. Oh my gosh, he's about to get in the car. That's amazing.
Yeah, Bernie Eccleston had this weird idea for Formula One that it should only be shared among older people, richer people. He didn't want to include young people at all.
Oh, so basically he had to stack the chafing dishes with his Formula One. He's very pinkies out with it.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's so weird. Like, that goes... You can't have longevity of your thing if you're not trying to get a new, younger audience to also enjoy it. That seems weird to me.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like because other racing sports have a lot of social media and have a lot of, like, amp it up to 10. Do you think he's, like, reacting against that? Like, it was very much like I don't want to be like them. I want to be above that. I want it to be, like, posh and fancy, and I don't want it to be adrenaline filled with, like, people with no shirts waving on. But yet, I don't know. I feel like he's failing to grasp the idea of like the Kentucky Derby route where, like, yes, it is high class, but it's also not. And that's what makes it exciting, is that it's accessible for everyone at the level that they want to experience it.
And hey, when Liberty Media bought Formula One and allowed everyone to use social media, finally, it totally blew up. In fact, last year, the U.S. Grand Prix, mind you, in the middle of a pandemic, became the highest attended racing event in all of Formula One history.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
There were over 400,000 people there.
That's crazy.
In Austin, Texas.
The only time I'd ever heard of Formula One, like, growing up was through watching Top Gear. Like, that's the only time that I had ever, like, heard of it or met the racers or knew anything about it. And so that's, like, the only way that I could, like, learn anything about it. So now that it's more accessible, you can literally just watch races, see what people think about it. That's cool. I got no problems with that.
Did you ever notice, too, on Top Gear that the only one who was into Formula One was Jeremy Clarkson?
Yes.
Richard Hammond and James May were not.
No, they were decidedly not.
But hey, the Stig, he was a Formula One driver.
That's why he's so
At
cool.
least 3 iterations of him were.
Justin, what does Formula One even mean?
That's a good question, because My entire life of loving motorsports, I've never known what the formula in Formula One is.
Is it a math equation?
There are other formulas, right?
Yeah, there is Formula 2, which is kind of the feeder series to Formula One. Formula 3, which is the feeder series to Formula 2.
So it's kind of like the different baseball leagues.
Right, yeah.
So there's a lot of them.
So it's a formula, right? So are we talking like a recipe? Is this like a cake recipe?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like they call it formula for like the fuel mixture, or maybe it's all those laboratory things of developing the car we were talking about earlier. Maybe that's the
developing
formula.
the right formula for
Winning.
the formula
I feel like
for winning.
we've just stumbled upon the best question to pull out of this. What the heck is
What
the
does it stand
formula in Formula One?
Tell
Now
us
that we
the
know that there's
formula.
at least 4 formulas, what's the first one? What's the best one?
I mean, I think we should, for a moment, cover the fact Adam brought this up earlier that the Indy in IndyCar is for Indianapolis.
Right. IndyCar is literally named after one race in their entire series, the Indy 500.
Yep.
Yeah. Do we know why that race named the whole thing?
You know, I actually don't know. Off the top of my head.
All right.
And you're supposed to be the expert. You used to be my hero.
My speculation is... Listen,
They don't teach
supposed to
that in
be a-
driving school, Adam.
they
We're a
didn't teach me...
podcast about looking things up for people. If we're not looking them up for people,
Well, hey,
then we're not
this is
doing
our
our
chance
job.
to look that up, okay?
Okay.
Why am I crying?
I'm just gonna cool it off real quick. We're gonna take a moment. I'm gonna actually look these things up
Yeah, please do.
because that's what we gotta cool off. We gotta cool our heads. So I'm gonna look up what Formula One.
What is the
that
formula
means,
in Formula One?
and if I can figure out why IndyCar is named after that
the
one
Indianapolis
race.
Super Speedway. Yeah.
Okay, so while I'm looking that up, our Bisky boy Giovanni is going to share with you how you can support our hunger for more details.
The team here at Let Me Look That Up is dedicated to bringing you the best content we can every 2 weeks. Since we've been back, we've been dropping a new episode every other Thursday for your listening enjoyment. What that means for us is a lot of coffee, and we need your help to make that happen. The best thing you can do is tell a friend or 2, tell a friend or 3. The more people who are listening, the happier we all are. For those of you who want to go above and beyond, you can support us by donating at buymeacoffee.com/letmelookthatup. Tristan, have there been any recent donations?
Yeah, actually, our friend Greg recently bought us a coffee.
Yeah, his name's not actually Greg, right?
I mean, his name is Greg, but everybody calls him Greg.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Mint cap with extra whip, is that what we're going to use that money on?
Maybe one that we can share among the 5 of us, but actually...
One sip each, guys.
now that we actually have our website, the future donations are going to go directly towards production and upkeep of our equipment. So that coffee is just going to be a coffee of our imagination for now.
So when I buy the replacement cord for the USB cord that I broke, I can just imagine that's my mint whip.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you can help maintain and improve the quality of the show by supporting us with a one-time donation, or we have a membership option now, which you can become a monthly supporter for as little as $1 a month.
Tristan, you just mentioned our website, and it's been up for, a little over a month now? But I don't know that everybody knows that we have a website. Is it letmelookthatUp.com?
Well, Giovanni, yes and no. We have letmelookthatUp.com. That's what our website has always been. But now when you go there, you might notice that the URL says something different. It actually says lmltu.com. We changed it because, one, it's a little bit easier to type. It's only 5 letters instead of a whole phrase.
We count that much.
And also, LMLTU just kind of sounds like a fun greeting, like LMLTU.
Oh, to you as well. LML to you. I get it.
So you can now find us at letmelookthatUp.com or lmltu.com.
So you can go to our webpage, you can donate at buymeacoffee.com/letmelookthatUp, but the real magic is in reviews, right?
That's right. Reviews help us so much. In fact, we have one recently from listener Droopy96B on Apple Podcast. They left a beautiful review that I want to share with you all. They said, "This crew is fun. Trivia plus jokes is right up my alley."
I think that's a callback to one of our previous episodes, right up my alley.
Exactly.
Stacy joined us to talk about how so many idioms feel like innuendo.
Yeah, they really do. But they're actually seem to be much sadder than innuendo, and
much more boring and often morbid. Yeah, that's true.
but yeah, thank you for that review, Drewby.
Yeah, appreciate you weighing in.
All right. So, Tristan, what answers did you find?
So I actually found some really interesting things. What do you guys want to hear first? Do you want to hear IndyCar or do you want to hear Formula One?
I feel like Formula One is going to be, we're going to think it's a big deal, but it's going to be really disappointing. So let's do that one first, and then let's do Indy.
Okay. You're kind of right.
Because we built it up too much.
And also earlier we speculated that maybe it was just named Formula because like it's the formula of racing kind of thing. And that's really what it was. So from Formula1.com, so I think it's a legit resource here.
Okay.
It was 12 questions about the origins of Formula One. And they were doing this on the 70th anniversary. So the question that was on here was it always going to be called Formula One, and why Formula anyway? Initially, when the concept of the new racing category was voted through by the CSI, Crime Scene Investigation,
Right, I'm doing the talking here. Right.
in 1946, it was felt that the expression formula best summarized a racing division, and it was called Formula Internationale. But some thought
Ooh.
it had
With
also
apostrophe
been
E.
given the name Formula A. In the end, it was decided Formula One and was the more apposite title, and that it would immediately recognize for what it was, the premier formula. So,
Gotcha. So that's written really well,
Yeah.
but that's really hard to read.
Yeah.
It's very esoteric. We
it's a
decided
great
it
answer.
sounded
I'm
good.
just dumb.
So it was really decided by committee.
It was decided by committee. It did
Gotcha.
sound
Camel
like
by
they
committee
wanted,
there.
because they are the premier racing, open wheel racing, they wanted to be the formula.
I wonder if Premier League soccer was a thing back then. And they're like, yeah, we want to be Premier Racing. It's like, you can't have that.
It's already taken.
Oh,
Gotcha.
I don't think I could be a fan of Formula A.
Well, if you were Canadian, it would be even funnier. Like Formula A.
And then what I was able to find for IndyCar was, yes, it is named after the biggest race in the championship. However, it was also, in 1994, it was named after IndyCar Racing League by Holman and Company, which also owned the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it sounds like they kind of named it after themselves.
Nice.
And it began competition in 1996.
Interesting.
The trademark name of IndyCar wasn't adopted until 2011.
What?
Yeah. So,
I could have stolen
Unofficial,
IndyCar this entire time.
well, not this
Domain
entire
names,
time.
man.
When you were like in your 20s, it would have been fine.
Yeah, I would have done it in my 20s.
Don't age shame him on here. He could have done it any time. Oh, in his 20s, right?
It's surprising to me that it has only been trademarked for about 10 years now. So,
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think I forgot to mention when we were talking about it earlier, but the Indy 500 has actually been running for almost over 100 years.
Yeah.
So it is kind of older than Formula One.
Is it like the bootlegging thing, kind of like NASCAR? Is that kind of its origins? Or is it more of an organized racing that became...
It was more organized than NASCAR. So,
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Just continuing reading here, it says, the sport of open wheel racing itself was historically referred to as championship car racing or Indy racing. It traces its roots as early as 1905.
Yeah.
So it's been happening for a while, but even that that references that it's been called Indy racing even older. So I feel like I only found half an answer.
Maybe they don't know. Maybe nobody really knows, and it just started, it's kind of,
Look,
it just happened one day
Yeah.
where they went, we call it IndyCar because of where I was, and it sounds cooler than whatever you were calling it, so that's what it is now.
there was only a handful of old tracks all the way back in 1905, and they just said, I don't know, the Indianapolis one seems like the best one. Let's go with that name.
Everybody likes that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and they had to do it in the accent. IndyCar, yes, that makes sense. The oval track. Indianapolis. I like this. Slap a sticker on it.
Yes, it'll be Indianapolis 500 car. That seems kind of
Yes.
long.
Our sponsor is Little Orphan Annie's Ovaltine, yes.
Yeah, so I tried to find a little bit more, and all I can find was that it derives from the popular competition, the Indianapolis 500. So that's what it is.
I was hoping for better answers, like something really,
I know,
like
right?
something really interesting or cool, or this guy crashed and as he was burning to death shouted IndyCar, and they went, "Oh, that's a good name. We're going to honor that." Or Formula One was a guy who like emerged from a cave and had this formula for racing fuel that also burned him to death, but that's how Formula One as he was dying. No, I should have gone with Formula One.
Yeah, or like the first car that won was like, "We found the formula,"
Right, yeah.
or something. But
This is the formula. The one formula. Does seem like a very Italian thing to do.
Justin, can you just real quick do a wrap up of what we should have learned today?
Yeah, so what I was hoping you guys would learn is the difference between Formula One and IndyCar. And I think what we learned was IndyCar is essentially the indie band of motorsports. Somehow we
So
ended up
Adam
there.
wasn't really wrong.
He wasn't wrong.
But I wasn't right. And isn't that Indy in itself?
Yeah, so really it's Formula One is the expensive sort of older brother to IndyCar, even though IndyCar is the older one.
Interesting.
I really feel like the answer isn't that. I'm going to critique this. I'm going to say Formula One is the well-funded. Now, we're going to go from Formula One's perspective. IndyCar is like the racing crazed uncle that you try to distance yourself from, even though you're doing the same thing.
I don't think exactly they're trying to distance themselves from it, but yeah.
Okay, so minus the distance. He's just the crazy uncle that also does the same thing you do. I'm throwing crazy. That's a stretch. We can edit all of that out. None of that matters. All we know is one's older than the other. So much, what the heck is he talking about? Crazy uncles? This is becoming oddly personal.
Look, those cars go over 200 miles an hour. It is crazy.
And then what we also, I guess, learned that was maybe not as exciting as we wanted, but that Formula was named after just kind of committee voting that Formula sounded good.
It sounds good.
And then IndyCar may be named after the people. Well, Indy Racing League was named after the people who owned the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but Indy Racing in general seems to just be named after their most popular race.
Oh, so we were right with both of them.
But wait, there's more. The learning doesn't stop just because we covered the topic for the day. You have done the real work of looking things up. This is Listener Lookups. Our listener lookup for today comes from @Chicanomundo on Twitter. @Chicanomundo says, "Great episode on the avocado. The Spanish name is aguacate, which has Nahuatl origin. Nahuatl is the language the Aztecs used, and the original name of the aguacate is ahuacal. And if I remember correctly, that name translates to scrotum. The fruit was named like that because the avocado skin looks like that."
Well, Chicano Mundo, thank you so much for that feedback. After I saw your post, I myself dug a little bit deeper and learned that, yeah, that's right. The Aztecs literally called it the testicle tree.
Hanging fruit, right. Low-hanging fruit.
Gives a whole new meaning as to why the pit is so big, right? Chicano Mundo, thank you so much for looking that up for us.
We love getting listener feedback and the fact that we are a podcast that thrives on having pedantic listeners. So we want you to join the discussion. Send us a message with your thoughts on today's topic, corrections that you might have, the things that you've looked up, or the questions that you've got on your mind that you want us to look up.
That's right. You can reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at Let Me Look That Up, or on Facebook at Let Me Look That Up Pod.
Again, if you like this show, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. If you enjoy listening to us looking that up, you can support the show at buymeacoffee.com/letmelookthatup.
All our links are in the description or on our website, letmelookthatup.com.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tristan.
I'm Justin, and it's lights on and away we go.
I'm Adam.
And we'll see you next time on Let Me Look That Up.
Plump, 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 plump,